Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry, and today I'm going to talk to you of another film, the highly underrated masterpiece, action thriller directed by Tony Scott, Man on Fire, starring Denzel Washington, Christopher Walken, Dakota Fanning, Mickey Rourke, and what's that guy's name? Mark Anthony and Randall Mitchell. Basically, the story of a bodyguard who's endured a lot of trauma. Well, I think he's ex-military, who's been given a job to be a bodyguard for this family somewhere in Mexico, and the daughter of the family gets kidnapped, assumed dead, and Denzel Washington's character, who plays a character named Chrissy, goes on a revenge rampage to figure out those who are responsible and take them down. Very short, very simple premise, but not a lot of action, mostly drama at heart. This film is one of Tony Scott's best films, and I think really, if anybody would say, I think what is Tony Scott's most memorable film, some say it maybe be Crimson Tide, some say it might be what was it? His stylized film, Enemy of the State. I would say this is probably his most underrated and masterwork as a filmmaker and style. This is with Domino, I would say, are kind of like counterparts because both of those movies have kind of the same style of visual editing and in tone. This here, I thought, was one of the most creatively edited action films, and I just loved it. I loved how visually it was edited, visually how the film looked, and in Denzel Washington's character being a badass. This film is top notch. And it's actually kind of funny thinking about it, because my dad claims that he and I saw this in theaters, and I have no recollection of ever seeing it in theaters. But when I watched it on FX, I was like, why haven't I not watched this movie sooner? Really, what can I say about this film? Gosh, this film is just wonderful. It's great. This is a great action film with a lot of heart, and what I mean by heart is mostly the bond between Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning's character, where both of them, I wouldn't say, Dakota Fanning's kind of looking for a father figure. Mark Anthony's character kind of hasn't really been there for a bit because he's so busy, and plus he's been doing other activities. The bodyguard, Denzel Washington's character, actually becomes, I guess, a good best friend for she like is able to connect, be close to somebody, basically looking up as a good friend and father figure a bit. In Denzel Washington's character, he's a very protective guy, but also with Denzel Washington's character, who's looking for, I guess the term, a friend in need. He is so, I would say, deprived of his past, of the things he's done. He's mentioned on some of these missions he went, I believe, as a soldier, that he's very suicidal. In fact, when the film first introduces him to the job, Christopher Walken, he's unsure about really taking on the job. He himself even admits he may not be mentally unfit for it, but though he still decides to take it for money. And then eventually the film chronicles Dakota Fanning's and Denzel's relationship, and it's very cute and also a little bit inspirational in times. It's actually nice seeing those two on screen. They're dynamic. They worked well together. They just like bam. And some of these scenes were actually kind of inspiring, you know, like a father-daughter kind of like thing going on. And the movie takes its time. And I was actually kind of surprised for a film like this to really take its time to really develop this relationship, because the goal of the film was to develop, that part of that film is to develop the core relationship that these two have. But when she gets taken in a very, well, let's just say when she's taking it, the feeling is not good, and you're wondering through the whole film whether or not she's alive or not. Now, when she gets taken, things turn right there. Now, when she gets taken, that's when the action really starts to kick in. And it takes about maybe like 50 minutes around there. Then the action kicks in of Denzel pursuing the bad guys, trying to rescue, or actually not even that, because in the film it's presumed that she died, with certain events kind of escalating of a ransom. They kidnapped her and they ransomed the girl and they assumingly killed her off, and then Denzel basically goes around investigating a ring of child kidnappings, which I guess part of it is based on some true life events. I don't think this film is a true story, but there is some truth to certain things that go along in the film. One of Denzel's best performances, I would say. Probably his... Oh man, this is a tough one. Man, I'm kind of caught between either The Equalizer or this. It's a little bit tough for me. Randall Mitchell, who I think she's a very underrated actress. I don't think she's been given enough credit from her filmography. This is probably one of the best I've seen her in. Really, as this mom who's broken, and when she really has a standout kind of towards the early in the film, but once Dakota Fanning's character gets taken away, her character gets taken on the back seat until Denzel comes up with answers and solutions that related to Dakota Fanning's disappearance. Mark Anthony, he's cool. Mickey Rourke, he's cool. You know, but this is mostly a Denzel Washington film. He is the star. He is the lead. And really, I don't really have a criticism with the movie. I like how grounded and realistic that this film tries to be for a one-man army to kind of taking on a somewhat underground criminal organization. I like how dirty, gritty this film is. That's like the best part of this movie, is the vibe and the grittiness to it. This might be, probably might be my favorite Denzel Washington film. Second best Tony Scott movie, and Tony Scott, rest in peace, man. You've done a lot of work with your films. You're probably one of the greatest action filmmakers I've seen, and you've deserved total respect for this film. This film surprisingly has a lot of emotional weight to it. It does, and it's you can really feel it. Especially the drive that Denzel Washington's character goes for, trying to find Dakota Fanning's character. And this movie's been out, since 2004, and knowing that people have seen it and really appreciate it over time, I do believe this film has a cult classic status to it. Maybe not, known for, but there's quite a few from what I've heard that have seen this film, and it is top to ranking as one of Denzel's best movies. Doesn't get a lot of hype though. This film should be revisited, and really, it's a great time. There is a few things like there were quite a few deleted scenes that they cut out of the film, and some of them I agree. Some of it kind of dragged out the pacing of the movie, which, if I had to really estimate, the early part of the film probably would have been like an hour, maybe 15 minutes, maybe a little bit too long if those scenes were kept in. But there was like maybe 2 or 3 scenes. Well, one in particular, and actually would have been more. I get it. I get why they cut this particular scene out. But it's also part of an action scene that they got rid of. It was a scene where Denzel protects Rhonda Mitchell's character. She's out shopping and doing whatever, and then there's like a shootout that happens. Little gang war, turf and sheet, and Denzel Washington rushes over and protects her from the shootout, from harm, and just keep her on the ground, kind of like hiding. And then later, Denzel briefs the authorities, and then he goes to the car and talks to Rhonda Mitchell. Rhonda Mitchell asks him, "Why didn't you shoot?" And he tells her, like, there were quite a few guys there. If I started shooting, we would have been outnumbered. Then she starts trying to be intimate with him, and I could see why they cut that out. Because it would have created more drama, but it would have created maybe not the best view for Denzel Washington's character. So I could see why they cut that out. And there's another scene they cut out. It's more of a deleted scene, or more of a alternate ending of what happens, where he meets the main bad guy face to face, and he blows himself up at his compound. Like that's how it ends. And to be honest, the ending that they used for the theatrical cut was a more impactful ending, even though I wish they did show, or Denzel Washington, I wish he did have his confrontation with the main bad guy, but it doesn't necessarily happen. But the way that ending, the last 15 minutes, kind of just builds up to what goes on, was beautiful. Probably one of my favorite endings to any film I've seen. It was emotionally beautiful, and I loved it. Especially where Dakota Fanning and Denzel finally meet again after his search for. Very powerful and very heartbreaking at the same time. Man on Fire. Let me know in the comment section below if you have seen it. Of course you have, but I'm here to tell you, spread the word. This is a great movie. Let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.